9% of the time, your synarthrotic, which means what? No movement. Okay. Well, no or little, very little movement is always going to be fibrous. Okay, so you pretty much always have synarthrotic with fibrous. Okay, your amphiarthrotic, which means slight movement, is most always going to be with your cartilaginous, and then your diarthrotic, which means fully movement, is going to be with your synovial, 99% of the time. Okay, that's why they told you about and want you to know what an interosseous membrane is between your ulna and radius and between your tib and fib. Okay, because that is fibrous, but it's amphiarthrotic, not synarthrotic. Okay, does that make sense? I just told you that synarthrotic was going to be what? And it's going to be associated with what type of anatomical? Fibrous. But these ones aren't, are they? They're what? They're amphiarthrotic and fibrous.
Which
okay.
one is that?
Which one?
The bottom of 422, your interosseous membranes between your tib fib and between your ulnar radius. There's a membrane there that doesn't follow the rules that I told you. Pretty much everywhere else in the body, you're going to find synarthrotic, fibrous, amphiarthrotic, cartilaginous, diarthrotic, synovial. Okay? This one is an exception. And then the joint between teeth we call gomphosis. I say you better get that one. Exactly, gomphosis. Okay, so teeth, where they meet the maxilla and the mandible, is actually a joint. And it's called the gomphosis. You will need to know, where would you find synarthrotic? Non-movement. Okay. Where are you going to find fibrous? In your skull. In that interosseous membrane, as well as in gomphosis. Gomphosis is also a fibrous joint. Okay. It actually shows you there on the thing there. Your cartilaginous, you're going to find where? Vertebrae, your ribs, and your pubic symphysis. Okay, and your diarthrotic, that's going to be mostly anything that you move: arms, fingers, legs, knees. Those are all going to be your diarthrotic, and most all of them are going to be synovial. Okay, synovial movements have what? Synovial joints always have a synovial capsule which holds in the synovial fluid. Okay, so it's always going to have a synovial capsule. The one you need to know mostly about is your TMJ, because it has what's called an articular joint, 424. It has an articular disc. In other words, there's not a ball and socket, but there's an extra disc in there to help with articulation. Okay. For your movements, you're just going to have to know what flexion, extension, and hyperextension is. So if I do this, what do I do? Flexion. If I do this, extension, hyperextension. So this, flexion. Exactly. So be able to do those different things with all. And what is this? but with two B's, abduction. This, adduction with a D and a B, okay? This, circular, okay? This, gliding. What is this? It's not actually, it's in your book, but they left it out of here. This is supination. This is pronation. Think of it, when you're prone, you're flat on your face. So pronation is the palms down. Supination is if you had a bowl of soup in your hand. Okay? It's not in here, it's in your books, but you will be responsible for it. Supination and pronation. In Wiley, they have a couple other ones with the jaw you don't have to worry about. The ones in here, plus supination and pronation, are the ones you need to worry about. Okay? So hyperflexion, hyperextension, extension, flexion, supination, pronation, circumduction, lateral flex, and gliding. Abduction, adduction, and gliding are the ones you're going to need to know. And then on 427, you will have to be able to identify those different types of joints. Know where they're at and what we call them. Okay, so if I ask you where a pivot joint is, you're going to tell me
your elbow.
So would that be like at your wrist?
that allows your arm to do this. So your radius pivots around your ulnar. That's a pivot joint. Okay. Ball and socket, hopefully you guys know, it's going to be your shoulder, your hip. Okay, those are big ones. The saddle joint is what allows your thumb to move in and out. Okay, that's what it does. Allows that to go around. Your condyle allows your wrist movement. Things to that effect, okay? Obviously your hinge would be the elbow, the knee, fingers. So be able to identify those. And then for aging joints, osteoarthritis is what? What's that? Couldn't hear you.
Inflammation.
No, that's,
Isn't that osteoarthritis?
osteoarthritis is the loss of synovial fluid and a breakdown of articular joints. What you're thinking of, I think, is bursitis. Bursitis is the inflammation of the bursa. What is a bursa? All right, this is the knee. This is the synovial capsule. A bursa is an extra synovial capsule that sits outside and extra cushions a synovial joint. When these become inflamed, then you have bursitis.
Says it's to allow the tendons to slide past, or the tendons that go over the
Yeah, you have a lot of them in your shoulder.
ligaments that go up and over.
Right.
To keep them off of this.
Right, they're an extra space to keep a lot of your ligaments and tendons off of this, so it's not rubbing against it. Instead, it's rubbing against the extra pillow in between them. Okay. And so when they get inflamed, that's bursitis. And then know the difference between a sprain and a strain. A sprain is a microscopic tear in a tendon or ligament. A strain is a tear in the muscle. Which one's gonna be longer to heal? A sprain. Which one has more muscular, or has more vascular muscle? Vascular presence, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. Has more arteries and veins in it. Muscle does, so they'll heal faster than sprains. That's why sprains are usually more severe than strains are. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm over with. That's it. I'm gonna tell you. All I'm gonna tell you.
Question.
Yes. I'll take questions.